2. Well, good afternoon, my brothers and sisters of our beloved Zion. This is Skip Mason, and I'm delighted to welcome you to a very special Facebook Live conversation, CME 150, with our 60th Bishop, Bishop Godwin Umoette. And I'm sure before it's over, he's going to tell me how to correctly pronounce his name and making sure I'm using all of the right syllables. But before we talk to Bishop, and we're so glad to see him all the way from Nigeria. Africa, technology is a wonderful thing when it works. And we're just delighted to have Bishop. Before I begin to talk to him, I always want to acknowledge the College of Bishops and their spouses, our Senior Bishop Lawrence Reddick and Mrs. Wendy Jones Reddick, Bishop James B. Walker and Mrs. Dolores Walker, and Bishop Thomas Brown, my bishop, and Dr. Louise Baker Brown, who chair and co-chair of the wonderful CIT committee, and the wonderful Dr. Teresa Duhart, with whom I could not have done this day without her. We're using a different format today, and she is the brains behind it. Thank God for I'm calling her Reverend Dr. Duhart, and what she does for our church, and especially for little old me. So you are watching a Facebook Live, but it's sort of recorded. You know, so I'm not able to acknowledge your comments like I normally do as they come in real time, and to say hello to the bishops in real time. So I just wanted you to know that whenever you're watching, this was pre-recorded so that we wouldn't keep Bishop and Lady Umoette up all night long. It is 8 p.m. over where they are, and we're just delighted to have. And now, without further ado, it is my joy and pleasure to introduce the 60th Bishop of our beloved church, the first indigenous bishop, first one born on the continent of Africa, where we all descend from, Bishop Godwin Umoette. Well, hello, Bishop.
Thank you, Brother Skip. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And how are you and Lady Elizabeth and the rest of your family doing?
We're doing pretty well.
Good.
God is blessing us.
I tell you, you look so relaxed and comfortable in your pink Izod shirt. Look.
Thank you.
I love it.
That's Elizabeth's choice.
Well, she made a good choice.
She's my makeover artist.
Well, she did a great job. See, Bishop Lakey started with the bishops wearing, you know, their formal, and every now and then a bishop would say, well, what do I wear? I said, well, you wear whatever you want to wear, you know, but I'm so glad to see you and to spend some time with you, to share with you about your amazing journey and the great work that you're doing, certainly over in the wonderful 10th Episcopal District. But we want to start, Bishop, with your beginnings and tell us about life for you growing up in your town of Nigeria. And I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Akwa Ibom, is that correct? Or near, close?
Yeah, you are correct. But that's my state.
That's your state.
Just like yeah, and not my town.
That's not your town. Okay. So tell us where you were born and
my town is.
Go ahead, Bishop. Yes.
I was born in a village called Ikot Akpan Ishet, which is currently in Ona local government area of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah. The village is Ikot Akpan Ishet. You want me to spell it for you?
Yes, please spell that for me.
It's capital I-K-O-T. Ikot.
Okay.
O-T.
All right.
Capital A-K-P-A-N. Akpan.
Okay.
And capital I-S-H-I-T. E-T.
I got it.
Ishet. Yeah, Ikat Akban Ishet.
Akban Ishet. Okay, and so that's where you were born. Tell us about your parents, grandparents, your village. Just kind of paint that picture for us in terms of your growing up in that town and city.
Okay, my father, the late Chief Thompson Umoette, and my mother, the late Jesse Thompson Umoette, both from the same village.
Okay.
And I was born on February 23, 1955.
1955. Wow.
Yes, in my mother's home.
Okay.
Not in the hospital, but in my mother's home.
In your mother's home. Wow.
Yes. There were not many doctors in those days to give birth to children, but thank God my mother was able to do it from what she told me with little pain or labor.
Mm.
And I grew up in that village, did my elementary schools, secondary school until 1982.
Okay.
When I left Nigeria for the United States to attend the 1982 General Conference in Cook Convention Center, Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow. Wow.
And that was the starting of my journey.
Now, Bishop.
And yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry. I was just going to ask you in terms of religion. Now, did you grow up a member of the CME Church in your town, or did you grow up in some other church and later became a CME?
I grew up in a church that was called United African Congregational Church, otherwise known as USCC. It is that church that metamorphosed into the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. But it was a church where I grew up, I was baptized, and I learned my religious endeavors in that church.
In that particular church.
In that particular church.
Now, any brothers and sisters, Bishop?
Unfortunately, my last living brother passed early this year.
Yes, I recall.
Was buried in, he died on December last year, was buried this past June, on the 4th of June, 2020. I have one surviving sister, and we are, as far as that heritage is concerned, lineage is concerned, the only two surviving children of my late father and mother.
Of your late father and mother. Now,
yes,
Bishop, let me ask you this, and we can talk a little bit about it. In terms of the ethnic group, I shun to use the word tribe because I don't know whether that is still apropos, but is it the Ibibio that you are a part of, or is it another group that your ancestors were a part of?
I am of the Ibibio stock.
The Ibibio, yes.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that group. And do you use the term tribe or ethnic group? What is the correct term?
When I was growing up, the word tribe was the predominant way of referring to us in that part of the world.
Right.
But we grew to recognize the fact that tribe was indeed very tribalistic itself.
Yes.
Denigrating a race. So we moved from tribe to ethnic group.
That's right. That's right. I wanted to be clear. Yes.
Yeah. So, that's a dominant tribe or ethnic group in what is currently Akwa Ibom State of Nigeria.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And its customs and traditions were very much a part of your growing up?
Yes,
Mm-hmm,
yes.
mm-hmm.
We celebrate our custom through the type of clothes that we wear, the type of food that we eat, and in marriage ceremonies and burial ceremonies and the rest of them.
Wow.
And it's not, in some instances, it's very unique, but otherwise it's just a general practice.
Yes.
That when you are born to a certain ethnic group, there are certain things you hold dear to your heart. And in terms of food and upbringing, education and religion. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Dr. Duhart, would you put that first picture up for me, please? Bishop, I want you to take a look at this picture and just tell me about this young man here. She's going to put a picture up.
Okay.
All right. Tell me about him. Where were you? What was going on? And what stage of life were you in? You were already, I'm assuming, in the States.
I
Can you see it?
I can't say it bold enough. It's just a snippet here.
Okay, well, that's so. Well, it's a younger picture of you.
Yes, I can say it now. That, I think, was my first year at Lane College.
Okay.
In 1982.
Wow, that is something. And you look so distinguished. Talk a little bit about, and you can take that one off for a second, Dr. Duhart. Tell us about your first time to the United States and attending the conference and going to Lane. Just walk us through that time, if you will, please.
It was a very magnificent time and at the same time very intriguing. There was a day when I gave my, I was preaching, I think in one of our conferences, and I said to my friends and brothers, I said, I thank God for who I am now and what I'm wearing now in terms of my shirt, my shoes, and otherwise. But then I said, let me take them back to 1982.
Yes.
That I arrived at the Cook Convention Center like a penguin. And why I said so was I arrived there with a black trouser, a white shirt, and a white ballet shoes.
Oh my goodness.
So it was quite an exciting moment. And when I walked into the conference hall, I didn't know where I was. I knew where I was, but I didn't know what was happening because I was totally a stranger.
Yes.
And I remember the person who picked me up from the airport, I can't think of her name now, but I remember she walked me through to the podium where Bishop Shai was.
Okay.
Bishop Shai was the only bishop that I know because he was here in Nigeria.
Yes.
And when he saw me, he got up and embraced me and said, Brother Umoette. I said, yes, Bishop, I'm here. And that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
A very good beginning. And I remember that at the end of the conference, myself and 4 other persons from the continent who were driven by the late Bishop Cunningham.
Yes.
To Lane College in the summer of 1982.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of my journey and the beginning of my educational pursuit in the United States. But I came into the United States dressed purely like a penguin in terms of the kind of information.
I love the story, the black and white all over. Boy, that would have been quite a picture to see.
It would have been, believe me.
Yes, quite a picture to see. Well, you mentioned 2 of the greats, Bishop Shine, Bishop Cunningham, and And that's a story in itself about the church's ministry in Africa. And Bishop Shai certainly was very much a part of that movement. And so do you remember meeting him in Africa? I mean, did you meet any of the CME bishops prior to coming to the United States?
Yeah, you mean Bishop Shai?
Bishop Shai, yes.
Yes, indeed. In that 1982, he was here for his annual conference. Perhaps that was his last annual conference.
Okay.
And we celebrated him in my village, where he was conferred with the title of a chief.
Oh, wow.
And Bishop Shai died as a chief, so as a chief in my community.
Yes.
So yeah, I was very friendly with Bishop Shai. He was very friendly with us. I met him on several occasions, and we talked, and we became a part of one another.
Mm-hmm. What a great mentor. And Bishop Shai, I remember him very fondly. I used to visit he and Mrs. Shai often in their home. Mrs. Shai was a member of West Side CME, where I grew up. And Bishop Shai loved West Mitchell Street, of course, where I now pastor. Yeah, very fond memories of them. So did you spend 4 years at Lane College, or you just continued your education at Lane?
I spent 3.5 years with my bachelor's degree at Lane College.
Okay.
And then I moved up to the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, where I did my master's. I did 2 masters, one in political science and one in African American studies. Then it was known as Black Studies.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And then from Ohio State University, I moved on to Temple University in Philadelphia.
Yes.
With a great sponsor and mentor, Dr. Asante.
Dr. Molefi Asante?
Molefi Asante, yes.
Ooh, wow. Yeah. My goodness.
He was my mentor at Temple University.
Bishop, what a mentor.
Yes.
Wow.
A great man.
Yes,
great
indeed.
Historian. Yeah.
And so your PhD then, you were studying what was your area of concentration, Bishop?
Area of concentration was political science.
Political science.
African American studies as a minor, yes.
Wow. Well, that must have been a great time to be at Temple,
It
was it for you?
It was a great time, and I met a whole lot of good people.
Yes.
Including Dr. Nelson, who was my supervisor, and a whole lot of them. But it was a great time. The only thing that sometimes gave us a hiccup was the temperature in Philadelphia was more than
it was very cold in Philadelphia, obviously.
Very, very cold. Very, very cold.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you had to adjust to that.
Yes, I did. I did. I was no longer a penguin, but I was now more, I would not say I was a cowboy, but in many instances, you would think that I'm a cowboy with all those hats and long boots and so on and so forth in Philadelphia.
Right.
But I refused to be a cowboy. I still maintain.
And at that time, you had ditched the white shoes or the black and white shoes, right?
The white shoes and the black pants and the white shirt were a thing of memory.
Oh, memory. That's right.
That's right.
You were working on your PhD. Well, how great. I mean, again, you embody what our church has stood for, which is really the highest level of scholarship, academic attainment and achievement, intellectual thought. I think that's one of the unique things about our church. Sometimes as we, struggle to some extent in terms of what is the CME Church. And we are the church of higher education and on all levels, educating our people, and from the earliest bishops on to number 63, that's what we have espoused. And Obviously, your great career and educational path certainly embodies that in the great tradition of some of the great scholars of our church, present and past. So, Bishop, you graduated from Temple University. What was next for you?
From Temple University, I got hired by my good friend, Dr. Strickland.
Yes.
Texas College.
Yes.
In Tyler, Texas. And there I was teaching there, and then was doing part-time in neighboring colleges like Wiley College.
Yes.
And then I think I spent most of my time in Texas College.
Texas College.
And that was right, yes.
Bishop, do you remember a student by the name of Gregory Williams?
Gregory Williams was I always referred to him as my little boy whom I actually had to nurture. There were a few of them, himself and Gregory Williams and Isom.
And Isom. Well, Bishop, yes. hold on for a second. Greg, come on up.
Hey, Pop. Hey, Bishop, how are you, sir?
What's up, Greg?
I had to put on my Texas College shirt.
Man, that shirt is so small and tight, you can't even get in it. What you talking about?
Hey, I'm a steer all day long. Bishop, how you doing?
I'm fine, Greg. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm thankful.
Bishop, Greg is one of my best friends, closest friends and brothers. And a while back, we were talking, and he shared with me how much you impacted his life at Texas. And so I called Greg, said, listen, I'm interviewing Bishop tomorrow. You got to come on and say something. Greg, would you just share a moment or two about your experience with having been Professor and Dr. Umoette as one of your mentors at Texas College?
Well, let me just be very honest. When we first met, I did not like him. I'm serious. I was in a place where I really just went to Texas just to get out of my house, to find another setting. I wasn't expecting any type of academic scholarship or anything. I just wanted to just be in another state, you know. But Professor Umoette then, he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I thought about a song, and I get emotional. I ain't gonna lie, I get emotional every time I see him. I think about a song.
We know how you are, Greg. We know, we understand.
And I think about a song that says, he saw the best in me when nobody else would. And honestly, I know they talking about God, but that's Bishop Umoette's testimony to me, that he saw something in me that I didn't even see. I'm about to start doing there. That I didn't see it myself at the time. I do have a quick story. I don't want to say this is church show, but I was partying one night, and the next day was our final for his political science class. And I didn't make it. And I heard a booming on my door. And I was still hanging over from the night before.
Right.
And he said, Gregory, come take my final. And I was like, the nerve of this man to come and make me take. I was mad. I was so mad. And I went home for summer. And all summer long, I said, I'm going to show this man who I really am. Mm-hmm. And from then, I think Bishop Umoette can testify that I became a student. And then I became a scholar.
Wow.
And he asked me to run for
the scholar part is questionable, but we say you became a student. But I'm just joking.
I would not have a master's degree today if it hadn't been for Bishop Umoette.
Wow,
that is
Greg.
True. That is the truth.
That is amazing.
And I could not hesitate to when you asked me to just give my little personal testimony. He was one of the few, if not only, professors who I encountered that cared for me.
Yeah.
And Orinthia Mason was a mother and Godwin Umoette was a father. So I had a mother and a father in Texas, and I love you. I love you. You know that, and I appreciate you so much. My family appreciates you. I never would be the man I am today if it hadn't been for Bishop Godwin Umoette.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And let me, Brother Skip, let me also say that I failed to mention, perhaps it did not occur to me, that three of them, that is Greg Williams, the late Alonzo Brown at Lane College.
Yes.
Alonzo was to me a son, a friend, and a brother. It was the same attitude that I had with Greg at Texas College that I had with Alonzo at Lane College, and may so rest in peace.
Yes.
I still remember having to go to the dormitory to wake Alonzo up.
I thought I was the first.
No, you know. So, but Greg actually gave me the opportunity to be both a lecturer and a father.
Oh, wow.
And he appreciated me in the same way I appreciated him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his
That's
father,
beautiful.
up till tomorrow, his father sees me as a co-father to Greg.
Yes.
And I'm extremely happy for what God has made out of Greg Williams.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
when he got elected, I had that right leg. I made sure that I carried him on the day of his election.
He carried you.
Yes.
Why don't we pause, Sister Duhar? Why don't we pause for a moment and take a look at that moment? Although we're jumping a little ahead, but let's look at this video for just a second. We're going to see that moment where it is announced that then Reverend Doctor is elected the 60th bishop.
And you know, until then, I always thought that I was a little bit heavy, but then the way they lifted me up, I thought I was just a little leaf.
Yeah.
But,
how tall are you? Bishop, how tall are you?
I am 6'3".
Wow. 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 That must have been a moment. Well, while she finds that, Greg, I appreciate you so much sharing with us today. I think here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they got all of you up, Bishop. So, and we're jumping, we hadn't quite gotten to that point yet, but Greg, that had to be a great moment for you personally, to be there, to be a part of that moment. I'm gonna come back in a while and talk to Bishop about getting to the episcopacy, but just share quickly what your thoughts were for that moment, Greg.
Oh, it was our relationship. Whenever I saw him in the halls during the general conference, we would just stop and pause, and we'd have just this very 2-minute, 3-minute, just recollection of back in the 90s when he and I were sharing together in Texas College. And then overnight in the morning, the night of the election into the morning, I prayed for his election. Mm-hmm. I prayed for him. And I received a word that, you know, he was going to be this bishop. And I said to myself, I'm going to position myself so that I'm going to be a part of this moment, because he has been such a wonderful friend and parent to me and to my scholarship. And he's helped me see more than I even saw in myself. Wow. So I appreciate him.
Well, Greg, I appreciate you. Bishop, this is normally Greg's golfing time. He's normally on the golf course on Sundays after church. But I am so glad that he is here with us. And Greg, thanks again. I appreciate you, brother.
Take care, Bishop. Take care, Skip. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bishop, make sure Bishop can hear me. Bishop, can you hear me okay? Let me make sure I'm not muted. Just a second. All right. Bishop, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Bishop? Okay, hold on. We just trying to get our audio together.
Skip, you hearing me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, Bishop. You can't hear me?
I can hear you, Skip. I'm muted.
Okay. Let me see what's going on. What happened? Just 1 second, Bishop. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hardly hear you.
You can hardly hear me? Okay. So we're going to wait until you come back up for just a second. Might be a little technical something on your line. Can you hear me now?
I can barely hear you.
Okay. Okay. Let me see.
It's not the volume.
It might be your, okay, so his internet connection is okay. Okay. Not sure what's going on, but we're gonna work it out so we can finish this wonderful conversation. So Bishop, if you can hear me, just raise your hand. Okay, all right. So if you can hear me, Bishop, tell us, after you left Texas College, where were you next? When did you decide to go back to Nigeria? Okay. Hold on one second. We're gonna see if we can work it out. And I don't know whether, let me see. Can you hear me, Bishop? Still can't hear me? Okay, use your chat feature. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, all right. So Bishop, I'm going to type the question in. And look at your chat. And the question that I'm asking you is, when did you decide to go back to Nigeria? And so I think what we might do, let me try it this way. I'm going to dial Sister Umoette up, and maybe I can convey the question to her. So maybe she can answer. Bishop?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not hearing you.
Okay, I understand. So I'm just going to ask the question using this phone. Thank God for technology. And you go ahead and respond. We can hear you, okay? So after you left Texas College, when did you decide to go back to Nigeria?
I decided to go back to Nigeria in 2000 and 2006, and I left Texas College to return to Nigeria, where I was hired by the state government in University of Uyo, where I was, 2006, I decided to leave, to return back to Nigeria.
To return back to Nigeria. Were there any regrets in leaving the States? Were you looking forward to going back home?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I think when I look back to that moment, I said to myself, I think I made a right decision.
Right.
And the correct one. Because coming back was to reunite with my people, my family, my brothers, sisters, and then to have the opportunity to educate students here in the same way I did when I was in the United States.
And so when you return back to Nigeria and back to your home state and community, what were you doing? Were you were in education, teaching? Were you pastoring? Tell us what you were doing.
A combination of both. I was teaching and I was pastoring.
Okay.
Yeah, and I am still teaching up to now. I'm still serving with the university.
You're still serving with the university. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, let me put up a couple of pictures because I want to have a conversation about your wife for just a moment. Dr. Duhart, when you get a moment, would you put the slideshow up? And I'm going to look at a couple of slides, and I want you to in just a moment, to tell us how you met your wife and what, certainly what kind of influence and support she has been to you in your profession and in your ministry. And we're going to put that up in just a moment.
Okay.
And to those of you who are watching live, watching this, we had a little communications issue with this, but thank God for cell phones, thank God for FaceTime and all of that. If you would, Dr. Duhart, there's a slide with Bishop and Mrs. Umoette. It's a few more down, I think. And then we'll come back to these in just a moment. Because we got some wonderful pictures. Yes, this is it. So tell us about your beautiful wife, your queen. Where did you meet her? How long have you known her? And I want her to stick her head in and say hello as well.
Yeah, she's right here. She will say hello. We met in Texas.
Hello. Hello, my dear.
And let me just be very blunt. We met at a party in Texas. And it was a wedding party.
Okay.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
And I was just a few years old in Texas. Then she's always been in Texas. And I was there sitting down with a group of friends, and I saw her walking with her dark glasses on. And you know, sometimes I become very infatuated with beautiful people.
Yes.
I wouldn't say women, but beautiful people. And she was indeed a very beautiful woman, as far. I betted on her, and which she did not quite like it, but she did come. And that's how it started. The rest is a story. And we've been together since then. And we are very happy with one another.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Well,
she's my mentor.
Yes.
Let me share this with you. My administrative secretary, Joyce Howard, who lives in Fort Worth, Texas, once told me and said to her, Elizabeth, never you leave Bishop alone. And I said to Joyce, why? He said, because without Elizabeth, you look so fragile. And, but it's been a very beautiful, wonderful union
Well,
both of us.
I can see
And
that.
some people think we are brothers and sisters because for one reason or the other, we tend to look alike.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
Yeah.
Sister Umoette, where are you, sweetheart?
I'm right here.
Well, you know, I told you I had to have you on. She said she had something to do today and all of that. I said, I'm not hearing it. You got to be on. Tell us about this man, your husband, our bishop that you're married to. Just tell us something about him.
He is such a wonderful man. I tell you, I will not take any other man than this man here.
Yes.
He's been a brother,
Yeah.
a father, a husband. He's been everything to me, seriously. And I don't know how I will survive without him, seriously. Yeah. Because with life with him, it's just fulfilling. You know, beautiful. Whenever I'm around him, I see him at home, I'm just satisfied.
Yeah.
But when he's out of my sight, that's when I get worried and I get fragile. I'm like, where are you? But he's such a wonderful man. He's a wonderful you know, I wouldn't. That's okay. This thing is
well.
Can you hear me?
I can. It broke up for a second, but we're doing well considering how far we are and the fact that we can communicate. We are just wonderful. You all are such a beautiful couple. You have such a beautiful family, beautiful ministry. And I want Sister Duhart, please. Dr. Duhart, I'm sorry. Would you go back and we're just going to take a look at some pictures. If you can go back to maybe slide 3 or 4. Okay, we're just going to, okay, of course, this was about where you're from, but we're just looking at a few pictures and you can't see, perhaps, I don't know whether you can see them or not, but this is a bishop at a dedication of a facility. Can you see the picture by any chance?
No.
Okay, don't worry about it. Then we're just gonna let the viewers just look at this album that we have. You all are ribbon cutting pictures of of dedicating a building, and some of our Episcopal leaders, Bishop Kenneth Carter is there as well. Next slide, please, Dr. Duhart. This is a beautiful one of you all, and Mrs. Umoette, you are always so beautifully dressed, so regally dressed. I mean,
thanks to him.
Thanks to him, right. I remember just every day at the last general conference in Birmingham. I mean, you were a walking fashion show every single day. You gave us
Thank you.
That's where my money goes.
I know where your money goes, Bishop. I believe it. I trust you. I believe it wholeheartedly. But this is a beautiful picture of you, and I hope later on you'll be able to see it. Next slide, Dr. Duhart. Okay. And Bishop, you're sitting here at the church surrounded by, these may be your stewardess, but they're women and stewards and stewardess, women dressed in white. Next slide, please. And these are just some photos of you at various events in the church, preaching and sharing. Can you all still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm hearing you. But
very good. Very good. Yeah. Next slide.
We're not seeing anything.
Next slide, please. And this is you talking to a stewardess at one of our events. It may have been a Unity Summit. Next slide, Dr. Duhart. This is you serving communion. I would love to visit with you all and spend some time in your town and community and just share in the worship experience. I just know I would be so tremendously blessed, but you are getting prepared for communion here. Next slide. Of course, this is you at some hotel probably. Next slide. And I think this is Mrs. Umoette's family, because as she knows, I snapped some pictures from her Facebook photos, but I think this is the picture of her family as well. Next slide. And a picture of you in your academic regalia. And Bishop, what is the name of the university that you work at?
Right now, I'm with the Akwa Ibom State University. It's a state university.
Okay, it's a state university. Excellent, excellent. Yeah. Next slide, please. And of course, this is First Lady Umoette in the church. And is this at your boutique? Do you still have your boutique?
Yes, sir, I do.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is a picture of you at your boutique. Next slide, please. And these are some of the—
I did for 12 years.
12 years? Oh my goodness, wow. That's a long time. And these are some of your delegates from the 10th at the conference, General Conference in Birmingham. Next slide. Okay. And this is the day that you all just took over the conference. Everybody was dressed alike. You all had on the yellow and blue outfits, and Mrs. Umoette had that beautiful gold wrap around her head, and you all were singing. And it was just it may have been the day that you made your report, but it was an awesome moment. Next slide, please. This is at a worship service in the church with Mrs. Umoette, I guess ministering to some of the sisters. Look like you're presenting some gifts or something to them. Next slide, please. Yeah. And Bishop Umoette, this may be at a pastor's conference. You're making some comments, or Unity Summit. Next slide, please. And this is you on your cell phone. Next slide. And Bishop, and this is you with some of your parishioners and all of your Episcopal splendor and regalness. Just two beautiful images. Next slide, please, Dr. Duhart. And this is in front of the Breeding Montgomery Bible College. Next slide. Okay. Yes. Yeah. And you want to tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, the Breeding Montgomery Bible College is where we offer a certificate program for pastors. Because we came up with a policy that until one obtains a training, one will not be ordained. So it's a college that we provide that level of training for our pastors before they are ordained.
Wow, that's incredible. What a great college, great mission, great support from the church. Next slide, please. This is you and Mrs. Umoette with our Executive Secretary, Dr. Panay Woods.
Okay.
Next slide. I think these are some of your family members. I don't know whether these are your daughters, but again,
my son lives over there.
Oh, okay, okay. And then there's another shot of you on the airplane. Next slide. And this is you, Bishop, with it. I think it says the Paramount Ruler of Honor. Is that correct?
Honor, yeah.
Yes, yes. And some event, some setting. But he has, of course, his crown on and beads, and it's at some event.
So where did you get all these pictures from, Dr. Duhart?
Well, first of all, the ones that I did not snatch off of Mrs. Umoette's page, Dr. Teresa Duhart shared them with me. You know, Bishop, you got to understand, I try to do my research before I come on, and so I'm always—
You are a great researcher, believe me, I'm proud of you.
And I'm telling you, Dr. Duhart just filled in the gap. She has so many wonderful pictures, and I'm so glad she shared them with me. This is you, and obviously with several of your preachers. Bishop, how many preachers do you have? Do you have quite a number of preachers in the tent?
I have right now 400 preachers. 400.
You have 400 preachers?
Yes.
My God. Wow.
Yeah, we're quite a large denomination here.
Yeah, I knew you had a great number, but
Yeah.
I didn't know you had that many. And so when you do your annual conferences, Bishop, how do you do your annual conferences? Do you go to different areas?
Yes, I go to, you see, we have 4 regions, including Ghana, Togo, and Liberia.
Okay.
So I go region by region, and we usually start around February, and we run it up between June, July. We run up the annual conferences, and right now we're about to start our county conference.
Oh wow, that is fantastic! I cannot wait to come and visit you.
We'll be so happy to have you.
Oh yeah, I'm so looking forward to that opportunity. Next slide, Dr. Duhart. So Bishop, I want to stop here. This is a slide of you and your classmates. And
okay.
Let's take a moment and talk about your being elected as the bishop, 60th bishop, and the first indigenous. How did this come about?
I remember, and I give glory and honor to God for that. But I know that there were people who were persuaded by faith to make sure that we have an indigenous bishop. And one of those fellows was, I must mention, is Bishop, our senior bishop, Reddick, Bishop Carter, and a host of others. But it started by Bishop Carter coming here, and he had me preach in one of his annual conferences. And it was at that annual conference, he gave me the impression that the time has come for us to have an indigenous bishop, and I would likely be one of the contenders.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be that I was one of the contenders in 2010.
Yes, sir.
So that's how I know that the endeavor started way behind. I mean, far behind 2010. The glamour for an indigenous bishop. The late Bishop Lindsay was the pioneer of that bishop. Late Bishop Shai was the pioneer.
Yes.
And many others. And I must not fail to mention my mentor, the late Bishop Grace.
Yes, sir.
Who actually ordained me as a student at then college in 1984. And then Bishop Shai ordained me as an elder. So that's the groundwork was laid far beyond my expectation.
Mm-hmm.
It just came to fruition in 2010, and I'm thankful to those who were in the vanguard of supporting me and making me the 60th bishop of the 10th of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church.
Wow.
That's in a nutshell the journey.
What an amazing accomplishment, a historic accomplishment for you. Did you feel the weight of the world on you as you returned back home after being elected, knowing the work?
I'm still feeling that now. It's an unending business.
I'm sure, Bishop.
Yeah, but it's a delight. You know, there is nothing so delightful and exciting than to serve God.
Yes.
In the capacity that one has, where you take care of human beings, their needs, both spiritually and otherwise, on a daily basis. So I am really excited about it, and I thank God for the strength.
Yes.
For His grace.
Yes. Do you feel as if over the last 10 years that you have been able to break barriers in terms of not only communicating to the college, your colleagues on the bench, but educating our church on the needs of our brothers and sisters in Africa and in the 10th? Do you feel like you're making some headway there? Is there still a lot of work to be done?
Yeah, there is still a lot of work to be done, but there's an understanding in the College of Bishops that there's a lot more to be done, and at the same time reflecting back on our past, and then give ourselves kudos for where we are now.
Yes.
Historical perspective, but there's still a lot more to be done. The 10th is quite a large district, as I said. I supervise 5 different countries.
My goodness.
And so the demand is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm always able to do what God has been able to have me do. And the story continues.
Bishop, what do you say to your preachers in terms of the ministry? What kind of advice and nurturing do you give to your preachers in terms of helping them to stay in the fight and to minister to the people? Can you share that with us for a moment? What do you share with them, your presiding elders?
Yeah, I make it very clear to them that when you are ordained, you say to us that you've been called to serve. And that's the beacon of hope. You've been called to serve, and that's it. You can't do otherwise. To serve means that you make sacrifices and you make gain.
Mm-hmm.
So I often say to them, don't mind how much money you don't have, but always depend on the number of persons that is put on your charge for you to shepherd them. That's where your benefit comes.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit comes from the history. People would say that it was under the pastoral leadership of XYZ that I have been who I am today. So I said to them, be patient with yourself and be diligent in your attribute to God, and all other things will follow. And they're doing that.
That is magnificent. Do you think that sometime we will see another bishop from Africa?
I truly believe so. I truly believe so. I would hate to say I am the first and the last. I would not want to say that. I truly do, because I said the region is large. Well, there is only, that the 11th district is still in the continent. So apart from the 10th, which is around West Africa, you have 11, which is made up of South and East African regions. So yeah, I keep on saying the college electing person of the indigenous attributes to head those regions.
Well, that is tremendous, Bishop. And I just applaud you and the work that you're doing. Dr. Duhard, there are some slides that I want you to get ready. Bishop, in Birmingham, and she's going to put the slides up in just a moment. And this is a part of the of this interview that I've been looking forward to. Let's continue. We got a few more slides we want to share with you. You're receiving, I think, an award at the Phillips School of Theology Founders Day with the late Bishop Elin Brown and Bishop Walker, Dr. Paul Brown. Next slide, Dr. Duhard. And one of your great banners, your Eastern Region Conference at the Bishop Marshall Gilmore Cathedral. And you have all of these great preachers that will be preaching. Next slide, please. So I want to stop here for a second. And you can't really see it, but those who are watching will be able to see it. So at the Birmingham conference, I didn't accost you, but I approached you. I said, Bishop, I need your help. At the time, I was working on my dissertation, and part of that included understanding and connecting the importance of African-American family research and DNA, genealogy and study. And I asked if you would take the DNA test for me.
I remember that.
So you remember that? And you were so gracious, you so kind. I had the test ready. And so all you had to do was to spit in the tube, which is what you were doing. And then this is a picture of us, of you doing a little salami, and we're holding the tube. And then the next slide, Dr. Duhart. And this is Coco and Udo and Bishop and me together, because they also took the test as well. You know, I came prepared so that I could, and my primary goal was to see if I was able, once your results came back, to see if I could connect or find one of your American relatives, meaning that you know, during the period of the mass enslavement of Africans from areas of Nigeria, one of your ancestors was captured, enslaved, and had children, but also became an ancestor of someone here in America. You got a lot of American cousins. Next slide, Dr. Duhart. So your results came back and you had a number of matches. And so I was going through the matches, and then all of a sudden I see a name that I know. And that name, next slide, was my cousin, whose name is, my cousin, Stephania, and she is here. And cousin, can you hear me? Unmute yourself. But for the very first time, y'all, I'm just so excited. Bishop, and you may or may not be able to see her, but later on you can. I want to introduce you to, and cousin, correctly pronounce your full name so I won't tear it up.
Yes. Stephania, like Sophia, Stephania.
Stephania, and is
Biddings.
it Biddings? Stephania Biddings, okay.
Yes.
First of all, Stephania is a cousin I found through DNA. She had taken the test and we realized that we were related, okay? And then I'm going through your matches, and then it says Godwin Umoette and Stephania Biddings are cousins, blood cousins, DNA cousins. And you all share a common ancestor. So Stephania, let me introduce you to your cousin, Bishop Godwin Thompson Umoette. Bishop, meet your cousin, Stephania Bidding, and all of the ancestors are shouting in heaven. What a joy that even the Middle Passage and the horrors of slavery could not separate two of you from reuniting. And I know that's a bit dramatic, but you know, that's me. You already know that. But I am so, so glad that you all have the opportunity to meet each other. Stephanie, would you like to say anything to your cousin, Bishop Umoette?
Well, hello, nice to meet you. And I would love to connect even further, because when I did some research, I also found out through my South Carolina roots, the Geechee Gullah roots, that I do have a Nigerian cousin in the 20th century. So it's even closer than I thought. So it was 1900 and something. So I do know that I have a grandfather who most likely was that relation from Nigeria. And he was a minister. He was a minister too. He was a minister. He was a traveling minister.
Wow.
So he may have been a missionary or came here for service from Nigeria, but I do have a grandparent who does definitely have the Nigerian roots. And I spoke with Skip and I said, it's so odd, well, not odd, but it's so different that we have a lot of cousins who are ministers and educators and artists.
Yes, you sure did say that. So Bishop, what it means is that your particular ancestor or relative who was enslaved traveled the Middle Passage. Somehow they are descendant ended up in the Charleston, South Carolina area, which is where she's from. Now, Dr. Duhart, would you put the next slide up for me? And then I'm going to just to share this with you, because Bishop, a lot of your American cousins ended up in Jamaica. Your DNA says that you have cousins in Jamaica, and you can't see the screen, but these are 3 of them now who are DNA matches to you. And so it is just an amazing science and amazing technology that DNA is able to link cousins together. I'm just so excited, and I hope that you and Stephanie gets the opportunity to meet again and to connect as blood and as kin. That I urge people to continue. I would love for all of the bishops to do the Ancestry DNA project and to learn more about your family. Some may already have, but I think it would be a great project to do in this, our 150th year. And cousin, I'm so thankful for you. You look mighty pretty too, got your Sunday wear on, but I'm so grateful for you to take the opportunity to come and meet Bishop Umoette, who is just one of the treasures in our church. And thank God for your spending a little time, and I'll make sure that you all exchange email addresses. Okay. You know, as you continue your research to learn more about your family. All right.
Yes. Thank you.
Stephanie,
hold on, don't leave. Yes, Bishop.
I can't see her, but I want her to know that I'm delighted to know that I have a cousin whose name is Stephanie Breeding. And I'm just going to add that she can go ahead and just email me a picture, and then I'll email her my picture so that we continue the this is not mine. The dialogue. And let me appreciate you for that great research. There's nothing so exciting than to know that you have your relatives abroad who by chance, perhaps by force, were removed from their heritage here in Nigeria.
Yes.
It is a delight, and I would certainly want to know more about it, and get to know them more about it, and I get to see them if I can.
Yes,
but
same here.
in the United States, that would be easier for me to see and meet with her next time I'm in the United States. But before then, and until then, I would like to keep in touch with Stephanie.
Yes.
So Stephanie, we love you. Oh, we have a home for you, and you'll be welcome anytime you're ready to come back.
Oh, awesome. I'm going to take you up on that possibly next year. I definitely want to see the area, the culture, and meet my distant cousins. I would love to.
Wonderful. And you know, I'm gonna be right there in the midst of it all.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
You're the connection.
Yes.
You are the connection, Skip.
Indeed.
I appreciate you, Skip. I really
appreciate you. Love you, cousin, and we'll see you soon, honey. Thank you.
Okay.
So Bishop, we are about to wrap up. You've been very kind. I have enjoyed this conversation with you. And so I want to kind of give you the last words and thoughts about our church. And we are 100, we'll be 150 years old in December.
Yes.
And so what advice do you have? What do you say to the church right now? Members all across the land who are listening and watching about our church and our ministry and the work that we have to do, you know, give us a charge, Bishop, to help us to move and to march in our 150th so we can be very clear about the work that we have to do to continue God's work in our church.
Brother Skip, if we look at where we are now and from where we started, you will agree with me that we have covered a whole lot. But nevertheless, from where we are now and to where we want to be in the next years, hundreds of years, we have to redouble our efforts to move from where we are now to another greener pasture in terms of the facilities, the training, and the preaching and publishing and all the rest of them that we do. We must leave a heritage greater than what we have acquired now for our next generation. The church must continue to be the supply side, if I may say so, to the African American communities, the United States and beyond.
Yes.
Where others have failed. And I think that's our motto.
Yes, indeed, Bishop. Yes, indeed. You have hit it on the head, and this is a time that we honor, we celebrate our history, our heritage, but also that we move forward to new pastors to continue to do the great ministries as you continue to do in the 10th, as you continue to expand the ministry and encourage and give hope to the people. The Christian Methodist Episcopal Church is so very blessed to have you as our 60th bishop and in our, as we call it, the motherland. And so we pray God's blessings on you and your beautiful family, your wife and family, and as you continue the work there and as we continue the work here. Thank you so much, Bishop, for spending time with me. For me, it's this afternoon, and for you, it's evening. God bless you and Sister Umoette and the rest of your family. And any final words before I say goodbye?
Yeah, let me also extend my appreciation to Dr. Duhard. Is a lady that I always love to work with. She's so understanding, so loving, and caring.
Yes, she is.
I appreciate her efforts. But I want to make a request, if Dr. Duhard wouldn't mind, to make me an album of those pictures. To be honest with you, I don't have them. So, Dr. Duhard, can you make that my Christmas gift? I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I will give it to you tomorrow.
Oh, she is the absolute.
God bless you.
She is the absolute.
Keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing great.
Thank you, Bishop.
May the Lord bless and keep you.
I receive that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Dr. Duhart, thank you. My brothers and sisters of our beloved Zion, thank you for tuning in and watching. It has been a joy to share with Bishop and Mrs. Umoette all the way from Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. We're so blessed to have them. Reverend Greg Williams and cousin Stephanie Biddings, thank you as well. This concludes our conversation, Facebook Live conversation, CME Church 150. I look forward to seeing you next week at the same time at 5 o'clock p.m. Remember, I love you, God loves you, and that Black lives do matter. Have a great day.
It matters. It matters all over the world.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
All over the world.
All around the world. It matters. That's right. Thank you, Bishop. God bless you all. Have a great day, and we'll see you, God willing, on next Sunday.
You do the same.
Thank you.
All right.